Hamilton is a very recognized and popular American musical. More specific, it is a song brought through musical about the life of the American founding father Alexander Hamilton, with music, lyrics, and book by Lin-Manuel Miranda, but previously inspired by the 2004 biography of Alexander Hamilton written by the historian Ron Chernow. The musical itself carries a lot of topics and themes, which are all there with the purpose of delivering a message to the audience. But for now, this presentation will just be focusing in only one of the main themes, which is diversity in motives and interest on the revolution. In order to explore this theme, we will be concentrating on each of the different 5 characters' interests and motives on the revolution, which characters are Hamilton, Mulligan, Lawrence, Lafayette, and Burr. To start with, we have our main protagonist, Alexander Hamilton. He is a founding father of the United States. Sure, you all know him. However, this was not always like this. Back in the time, he was just an orphan, poor, miserable guy, and an immigrant to America, who had a huge desire of succeeding in life and leaving his past behind. Whose desire is in fact Hamilton's real intentions and motives in carrying out a revolution. Alexander Hamilton's truly reasons on having a revolution are simply 2. Number 1, to obtain and construct a memorable reputation through the revolution. Number 2, to be remembered by everyone as a guy who gave his life for his country. All of this, of course, obtained by showing his skills on generating great ideas and clever speeches. Those motives can be proven since the very beginning of the musical. On his very first intervention, Hamilton is already telling us how in New York he could be a new man, and constantly repeating again and again the verse of "Just you wait," which is definitely a piece of foreshadowing to the audience that something huge will happen to him, perhaps a transformation. And it is also showing Hamilton's desire of succeeding in life and proving everyone wrong. Next, on the second song, Aaron Burr Sir, the audience gets a clear image and idea of Hamilton's goal when saying, "God, I wish there was a war. I wish there was a war. Then we could prove that we are worth more than anyone bargained for." This verse could actually be the one that best explains and transmits Hamilton's motives of having a revolution. He says he wants a war so that he could prove everyone that he is worth more than what people think he's worth. Moreover, on song number 3, called My Shot, he even declares that eventually people will see his ascendancy, letting the audience know that soon he will be very well known in society. Then he goes on again and warns the people to don't be shocked when their history books mentions him, in which he's clearly saying that he will be a man who will be remembered in history. Lastly, once again on song number 3, My Shot, he says this very significant phrase, quotation mark, "Every action is an act of creation," which could be taken with 2 different meanings. In the one hand, this is referring to the creation of the revolution itself, while on the other hand, it is referring to the construction of Alexander Hamilton's new reputation and goal. Moving on, we have our second main character, which is Mulligan. Hercules Mulligan is a tailor and patriot spy on the American Revolution. However, just as Hamilton, his position was not always the same. In the past, he belonged to the lower class. Hence, in the musical, it is revealed to the audience the actual motives of Mulligan on wanting a revolution in America. To be more exact, he only wants the revolution for selfish motives. What he wants is to simply rise in social status and to increase his profits in terms of money, which can be seen from the beginning of the musical. Additionally, as an evidence, on song number 3, My Shot, there is a very telling fragment of this song dropped by Mulligan, which proves what has been just said. The fragment goes like, I'm joining the rebellion 'cause I know it's my chance to socially advance instead of suing some pants. As seen, this is evidently demonstrating Mulligan's real intentions on the revolution. Furthermore, not only does that evidence proves our claim, but also throughout the whole beginning of the play, it is very obviously noticed Mulligan's lower class status by his very informal way of speaking, becoming somewhat a bit vulgar and grotesque, since he is constantly referring to the concepts of sex and money. Next, we have our third main character, which is Lawrence. John Lawrence is an American soldier on the American Revolutionary War. Moreover, Lawrence is in fact, so far from the 5 characters that we are analyzing, the most down-to-earth. Who actually is the one who actually has the supposed right motives and the less selfish ones to carrying out a revolution. What he wants is to simply help rescue Serbs to fight for their freedom as US soldiers. Those motives are evident as well since the beginning of the musical. On song number 2, Iron Berserk, he claims that he will pop this cup till I'm free, which means that he will fight against the British Empire until the US gets his liberty. Then, on song number 3, My Shot, once again he says that he will never be truly free until those in the bondage have the same right as, quotation mark, you and me. As seems, he is now once again emphasizing that he wants the US slaves to have the same right as everyone, which proves our claim. So now we have our fourth main character, whose name is Lafayette. Marquis de Lafayette is a French aristocrat and military officer who wants to help out, in quotation marks, America on the revolution. Yet, it sounds weird that a foreign wants to be involved in a revolutionary war that's not from his country. But this is because what he really wants is to merely get out of everything his own benefit. Lafayette just wants the revolution so he can figure out how a revolution works, and so later on he can help out France fighting against their own king. In other words, and in a more simplistic way, he only wants the experience and the knowledge, which motives are again noticeable since the beginning of the musical. On song number 2, Iron Burns Here, he states that he just came afar to say bonsoir, tell the king c'est toi, and to show off, saying that he's the best. This demonstrates the audience that he is sort of not being really serious on helping America, but rather just flaunting himself. In addition, on song number 3, My Shot, he's even more direct and goes on and tells his dream about a life without the monarchy, and so the unrest in France will lead to the anarchy. With this bird, it is now very clear to the audience Lafayette's real motives of simply helping out his country and not really helping America. Finally, our fifth main character is Burr. Aaron Burr is an American politician and the third vice president during President Thomas Jefferson's first term. Furthermore, he is the one who in the end of the musical kills Alexander Hamilton. But going a bit back before that happened and concentrating in our now present reference of time, Burr hasn't been yet seen as the principal enemy of the story. In fact, he's seen as the most innocent one, due to the fact that he is the only one out of the five main characters that does not want to have a revolution, because he prefers the country to stay out of trouble. Burr, as well as the other characters, states his position since the very beginning of the musical. On song number 2, Aaron Burr's Here, he advised the other men to talk less. He then says that while they spit, he will sit. So he's basically advising the men to keep quiet and to not generate a revolution. He then tells very straightforward that he won't be part of their plan on the revolution. Lastly, on song number 3, My Shot, Burr goes more precisely and tells the men to lower their voices so they can keep themselves out of trouble and double their chances, which Burr is suggesting to the men to do not cause a revolution, because if they do, they will get in trouble. And not only that, but they will lose their choices of improving themselves on America. So to sum up, the theme of diversity plays a huge role. So to sum up, the theme of diversity in motives and interests on the revolution plays a huge role on Hamilton's musical, due to the fact that it is very present since the beginning of the musical. It is from there that the audience can start identifying and recognizing each of the diverse characters' motives on the revolution. And as the musical advances, every motive becomes further evident, detailed, and clarified.